Welcome everybody to the UFC 115 video blog from WrestlingObserver.com and F4WOnline.com. I'm Ben Miller. I'm here with Jay Tan. We're going to run down the show for you, talk about the ramifications, kind of get an overview. First of all, Jay, thoughts on the show?
I like the show a lot. It struck me that it was a bit of out with the old, in with the new. But that said, I think we also saw a new side of some stars that we're very familiar with. Mirko Cro Cop and Rich Franklin.
Yeah, obviously Chuck Liddell going down, big news. For those of you that didn't see the show, Chuck Liddell went down to first round knockout to Rich Franklin, and it was another go to sleep knockout. So that's very out with the old, in with the new. It also goes into what you're saying about the Rich Franklin thing. My thought, though, is not very much consequence from a lot of these results. Franklin, I don't see as a big contender. One of the other results was Mirko Cro Cop getting a rear naked choke submission on Pat Barry. I don't know if I see Mirko at the top. So I don't see as much. What do you think they do with Franklin? What's sort of the impact in the future there?
Well, with Franklin, a few years ago, we saw him knock out Ken Shamrock, and that was at 205. Then he moved to 185, and there were a lot of other matches that opponents for Franklin we didn't get to see, but now we get to see them. I'm thinking Rampage Jackson, Lyoto Machida. That's a rematch.
That's
that
interesting.
Built.
Yeah.
Forrest Griffin as well. So I think there's a lot of potential for Rich at 205.
Yeah. I could see those matches. To me, they seem like a little bit more of showy matches. Maybe, not quite the substance of Rich being able to beat the best of the best. Do you think he has a chance against Rampage or Lyoto?
Absolutely. I think you don't put off a guy that has a second lease on life, at least in terms of his career.
Okay. I could see that. If you had to pick one opponent, if you had to book Rich Franklin, who are you picking next?
You know what? Lyoto. Let's book a rematch with Lyoto Machida. And build that one up. There's good history there.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you that I think that match would draw based on tonight and based on where Lyoto is. I think it would draw. If I had to book a match for Rich, I would go in a little bit different direction. I just kind of like the idea of Lyoto facing Rampage, and so I think I'd go in the direction of Thiago Silva against Rich Franklin. I actually am kind of a big Thiago Silva fan. I think, if given a chance, his matches with Rashad Evans and even with Lyoto, as crazy as that sounds, may look a little bit differently. But that's where I go. Let's talk about our other guy, Mirko Cro Cop. He was one of the other ones you were talking about that had kind of a career resurrection. Where does he go next? Who's sort of the
Big
best
Ben
matchup?
Rothwell. Both guys have roughly the same number of matches cumulatively, and both of them had great performances tonight. And I think you put them against each other, and test to see who goes on.
Now, when I say best matchup, are you saying best matchup from the booker's perspective, or best matchup that gives Cro Cop a chance to advance?
From a booker, matchmaker, both guys, I think, in this respect, at this point in their careers, are at the crossroads, a little bit equal in that respect, and why not? You've got a guy that people are familiar with, in Mirko, and you've got a guy that has a lot of potential, and in Ben Rothwell, and it'd be fun stylistically as well. Yeah,
that'd be an interesting one. My thought for Mirko might be a little bit different. I guess I was kind of more thinking of it in terms of what would give Mirko a chance to move up the ladder, and I know I'm going to sound like our man Mike Sawyer from Wrestling Observer in my trashing of Frank Mir here. But Frank Mir is the guy that I might book him against. It might be good for business also. I don't know. We'd have to see how tonight's numbers come out. But I feel like Cro Cop would have an excellent chance against Mir. What do you think about that one?
Also an exciting match. I wouldn't mind seeing that one. I'll pay for both of them.
Yeah. Other side of the coin, of course, is Chuck Liddell. Chuck Liddell does not look like he has a career on the upswing at the moment. Big question is, do you think he's done? Would you like to see him be done?
Yeah. No, he's not done.
And would you like to see him be done?
I'll pass on that one.
Okay. We'll save that for later.
I don't think any athlete wants to end a career on that note. And I think that there is money, I think there is value still in Chuck versus Tito. Chuck wants it. Tito wants it. I think the fans still do want it. And you had mentioned earlier that it might be better suited for TV. I would absolutely agree with that.
Yeah, I think if they book it, yes, you book it on TV. I'm not as convinced as you are, I guess, that they will book it. The analogy I was kind of thinking of was Sugar Ray Leonard. It was sort of towards the end of his career. He had a couple of wins that gave him lifelines, and he could kind of make excuses up to a point. But when he fought Hector Macho Camacho, that was a fight where he had sort of a cherry-picked opponent who wasn't supposed to be powerful enough to expose the fact that he could get knocked out. And Rich Franklin does have power. He's not the weakest, light heavyweight in the world. But to me, it felt like, let's get this guy away from the guys with super knockout power at 205. And he still got flattened. He still got knocked out bad. And I just wonder if it's sort of going to be a wake-up call for him. I got to say, if I were to predict, I would say he's done in UFC. Let's stipulate that actually for just a second. If he's done in UFC, does he leave? Does he try to fight elsewhere?
That's a really good question. I don't have the answer to that one. Like I said, Chuck wants it, Tito wants it, and if their contracts happen to be terminated or just canceled, or if they're free agents at the same time, they may try and take it elsewhere. Why not?
Okay. Two other guys on the undercard that had good results were Carlos Condit and Martin Kampmann. Both at 170.
Yep.
Both won. I guess Condit didn't win a decision, but he won it very, very close to the end of the round, getting a referee stoppage very close to the end. Kampmann won a unanimous decision in dominating fashion. Which guy's higher on the totem pole at this point for you?
Well, we've talked about this a couple of times already.
Yeah.
I am definitely sticking with my guns now about Kampmann. Condit is a former WBC champion, and especially in the Zuffa umbrella, that counts for a lot. But Kampmann beat Condit. Great match, very close. God knows I'd love to see a rematch on that one. But Kampmann was very dominant tonight, and he beat Condit.
Yeah.
So I think that's where you go.
Yeah, I certainly could see that. We're close to the end on time, so two big things we want to do here. I'm going to try to make this a tradition for every pay-per-view that we recap on the video blog. First thing, next guy to get a title shot. Of all the guys that won, the guys we were talking about, Kampmann, Condit, Krokop, and Franklin, who gets the next title shot in their weight class?
Well, part of me says Kampmann, but I think there's still a few guys at 170 ahead of him. At the same time, for marquee value, Rich Franklin.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. I'm actually going to go Carlos Condit. I'm not even disagreeing with you so much that Kampmann's higher on the totem pole right now. I just like his crazy style. Go out of your way to see that Condit fight on Unleashed or something like that in the future. The guy just fights like a madman, and I think with a couple wins he might get a shot.
Go out of your way to see any Carlos Condit match. That's a good way.
That's a good point. And then last thing is buy rate. Give me a number.
Between 650 and 700. I think there could be a lot of interesting, an increase in terms of repeat buys.
Yeah. I'm going to go with 650. I perceive that to be a high number, but it looks like Jay's doing me one better. All right, so that's our recap of UFC 115. Check back on the site, WrestlingObserver.com and F4WOnline.com. He's Jay Tan. I'm Ben Miller, and we'll see you next time.